Hello, dear viewers, and welcome back to another fun and exciting episode of This Week in Canada. My name is Roberto Wakefield Cruz. Thank you so much for joining me in this very wonderful and holly Christmas season, holiday season. Before we get started with the episode, I want to recommend that you go down to the links below and check out the many ways that you can support us, including becoming a member to the Post Millennial website. That does so much good for us, or just give a donation if you can. I understand it's the holiday season. Money might be a little tight, but if you can, if you have the $2 or $3 or $5 that you can donate, it goes a long way. Also, check us out on Rumble, the Post Millennial Rumble, or the Post Millennial Clips. This is where you get all the kind of breaking news clips as they come out. Also, you should check out our locals. That's where we get in on the ground floor, and we're going to start going with that pretty hard in the coming year, in 2022. Now, let's just get into the episode and the news. Are you scared? Are you spooked out? Are you concerned? Are you freaking out about this new variant, the Omicron variant? Of course, I, as someone that's recovered from COVID, am not overly concerned. I don't think much of my family is overly concerned. Everyone's vaccinated or has had COVID already, so we're basically covered. But there are some out there that want to make sure that you panic. Obviously, panic is good for clicks. Being an alarmist, a climate alarmist, or just a COVID alarmist, pretty good money that you get in there from freaking people out with a good headline. Especially, this seems to be the methodology of one Dr. Peter Juni. I believe that's right. It might be Uni. Juni, with an umlaut over the U, like Lars Ulrich. I don't know if he's Danish or something like that. Wants you to know that you should be pretty afraid, that you can't imagine the sheer scale of what we're dealing with this new Omicron variant. Don't listen to the doctors in South Africa that are saying that this is mild. This is bad. Don't listen to Dr. Richard Friedland, who is the CEO of the largest health provider in South Africa, that says that this variant could be the way that we get out of COVID, that the pandemic ends, as the Spanish flu fizzled out. This is the same kind of thing. No, don't listen to him. Panic. So Dr. Peter Juni decided to go on and say that this fairy tale, this myth that Omicron is milder, needs to just go away. We need to be concerned out the wazoo. Specifically, he was saying this week, he came on the news again and said, if you're in the service industry and you're afraid of new lockdown measures, you need to grow up. Quit your moaning, quit your bitching and complaining. Who cares if a restaurant goes down to 25% capacity if you lose 75% of your indoor clientele? You're going to get over it. You're going to be fine. Let's roll that clip. It's from the CBC, so we can't roll too much of it. It's from Power and Politics, which is actually a good show, I think, in CBC. If you're going to watch one news show from the CBC, I think it's Power and Politics. Let's check out a clip of Dr. Peter Juni, fearmonger, in my opinion, fear-mongering about this very mild Omicron variant. I'm not a doctor. This guy is, though. So, watch what he has to say.
If we want to avoid that case numbers continue to go up and double every 3 days or so for Omicron, then we need to react relatively swiftly.
And what if this doesn't happen, what you're recommending? What are the consequences in Ontario, potentially?
Well, it can look very challenging. No, our ICUs will get overwhelmed, then our hospitals will get overwhelmed, and we will make it, to the next level regarding case counts. We need to be aware of that. This means testing won't work properly anymore. There are a lot of aspects. You tell me, you say, oh, there's no tsunami. No, you can't. We need to change our attitudes. What's the problem with going back to 25% capacity in a restaurant? Life will continue. We need to stop moaning, face the reality, and do the right thing. It's as simple as that.
It's almost like some people don't want this pandemic to end because their moment in the spotlight will then just evaporate into nothing. It's almost like these people get off on making the public scared in this whole thing. It's a little bit sick, and a lot of it's not based on science. That's at least what one company says. WestJet, look, I'm not one to bootlick a corporation and say, oh, they're the best. Like, yeah, get them, big organization, big corporation, billion-dollar corporation. Yeah. But what WestJet had to say was actually pretty insightful. I thought it was a big change of pace from what we see in Canada, at least. So let's put the statement up by WestJet. We could put the article on the screen here. That WestJet is specifically now calling out the measures, the travel measures put in place by the Trudeau government, saying that they're anti-science and not about the data. Again, you can check out that article. We can actually put it in the links below. And that's exactly what I think too. I mean, again, this is just one man's opinion, but it doesn't seem like I just met someone yesterday that flew in from France. This kid that they have with them, they have to get a test when they leave. They get tested 24 hours before they leave. They get tested at the airport. They get tested when they arrive. And then he has to bring home a kit that he then has to go and do an online test. He has to do a video conference with a doctor where they watch him do the test and then make sure that he's negative. Is that science? How many times can you test one person? Also, this poor kid, he's like 10 years old, getting shit shoved up his nose every half hour that he's in Canada. And then what happens if he's positive? Does he get dragged out of the house that he's staying at? That's kind of scary. We already know that the conditions in these, what do you want to call them? Hotels, these, camps. Camps is a little drastic, but these places where you're deprived of food and rights that you go to, these facilities, they're not the best place. I don't want this kid going. He seemed like a nice place. He seems like a nice guy, rather. Nice little kid. Why is he getting so much shit shoved up his nose? I don't like it. But this ties into all the holiday fear-mongering that we've seen already. I don't know if you guys have heard, but COVID is back. Harder and readier than ever, just ready to just bone you. What you are going to go through over the next few weeks is basically like a form of gaslighting, where you're going to be told one thing and then told to do another thing. It's going to be very confusing, I think, for a lot of us. It's already started a little bit, right? If you listen to these press conferences, you already know that non-essential travel is already being just shunned. Don't do it. You should not travel anywhere for Christmas. In Quebec, where I live, the limit of how many people you're supposed to have over for the holidays just dropped from 20 people in one household, reasonable, down to 10, along with 50% capacity at restaurants and bars and saloons, if there's still saloons, anywhere where you can have fun, any kind of public facility. All these places, by the way, already have vaccine passports, and you have to show it before you go in. As we saw 2 days ago, 90% of the Omicron variant cases were in vaccinated people. We can put that up on the screen. So congratulations to the vaccinated. You are now still able to spread the Omicron variant just at 50% capacity, which is, fantastic news for you. I wanted to change gears a little bit. I'm going COVID crazy. Okay? I'm losing my mind here. I'm getting very sick in the head over this stuff. I'm losing my mind. But let's talk a little bit about these mandate letters that came out. I thought it was pretty interesting. So what is a mandate letter? Well, the prime minister writes a letter to his minister saying, this is what you got to do. And I'm expecting you to, show me results. And this is the focus of what we campaigned on and what we want to achieve. So what do you think he would say to the Minister of Finance, Chrystia Freeland? Well, we are in an inflation crisis, I would call it. I just bought breakfast this morning from Vieux Montreal, a nice little breakfast place. It was $19. That's insane. It used to be like $11. So already I'm not having fun. So what do you say to the Minister of Finance? Well, you don't mention the word inflation. Even though inflation now is at 4.6%. That's pretty high. I've lost 5% of my earnings 1 year. What? That's pretty crazy. Don't mention it once. In the letter to Chrystia Freeland, the word was not mentioned once. Also, Canada's a pretty resource-rich country, right? You would think that probably you would mention natural resources if you're talking to the natural resource minister. Like, how many times do you think that pipelines would be mentioned or that oil would be mentioned? Well, as we saw in the mandate letter sent to Steve Wilkinson, I always forget his name, Steve Wilkinson, you mention oil twice, and only in reference to capping oil, which is fantastic. As we all know, Canada, we could do away with oil. We don't need oil. Our economy doesn't depend on oil. When have we ever needed oil? That's stupid. Get rid of it. Don't even mention it in the mandate unless you're talking about capping it. And how many times do you think you mention pipelines? Pipelines, historically, pretty good way to give Indigenous people jobs, pretty safe way to transport resources compared to, putting it in a train or truck. Trains could spill. trucks could spill and also use gas themselves. So a pipeline seems like a good... No. Don't mention pipelines once in the mandate letters. And this is kind of what you should focus on is racism, as we've seen mentioned in the mandates. The UN, don't even know what the UN has to do with this, but all right. Racism, the UN, social inequalities, and climate change, which we already know. This is just going to be the next... This climate change thing is already warming up to just be like, is there going to be climate lockdowns? Look, I am not a conspiracy theorist, right? But 2 years ago, it sounds like all the conspiracy theorists were pretty spot on about everything. And now they're telling me there's going to be climate lockdowns. I'm seeing credit cards that are going to have like social scoring systems about what things I buy that are, green and which things aren't green. That's kind of spooky. Don't like that. Just pretty grim times. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I know this was more of a rant than any kind of enjoyable video, so sorry about that. I'm feeling actually a little bit under the weather. I've been taking care of sick people for the last 2 weeks. Everyone around me has gotten ill except for me because I have antibodies. But it's been a nice time. I hope you enjoy your holiday season. Of course, Parliament will. They've been at work for, I think, 3 weeks now, and now they're adjourned until, I think, January 11. No more Parliament. This is great for people that all make 6 digits. Our representatives have to work so hard for us. So if you're one of them, I wish you a Merry Christmas, and I wish you an even Merrier Christmas if you're not one of them. Thank you so much for joining me. Next week, this video is set to come out. Next week's episode is supposed to come out on Christmas Eve. I don't know exactly what's going to happen with that. It might be like top 10 videos or top 5 videos of 2021. So it's not going to be anything serious. It's Christmas time, right? Thank you so much for joining me. God bless you. Have a great week. Bye-bye.